Hello. Today we're in a bit of a different environment because we're in the middle of the huge fucking mess that I live in, and it's not an underestimation when I say it's a huge fucking mess. Can you tell I have to fight hoarder genes within my body? This isn't mine. This is the mythical pile of shoes is. But trust me, even though they all look, almost all of them look black, they're fucking different, okay? Don't even fight me on this. So, that being said, what am I doing today? Come on, guys, what are we gonna be doing today? Well, today, I'm gonna try to find out what my identity is. How am I gonna do that? Well, first, maybe why am I gonna do that? Because since I have established that, I have a gaping void in the place where my self should be. I figured, well, I am cutting off all romantic entanglements in order not to lose myself further, because I can tell that this is the risky area and the non-risky area is friendships. So it would seem maybe friendships as they evolve will put me in those risky areas step at a time, but then I feel like it's still a safer area than relationships. And so far so good, actually. Just yesterday I went out. I was just running errands, nothing great that I had to do, and importantly enough, I didn't put on much makeup, especially I didn't put any foundation, which is important because I feel like I look like a cemetery of who I used to fucking be in terms of physical attractiveness, and therefore, this is definitely not what I would consider acceptable for myself and even bearable to look at. Therefore, I didn't really consider myself attractive, and then I managed to chat up. I didn't even listen. I didn't even intend to be flirting, okay? And somehow I ended up talking. I had to go to the bank to close up like this investment fund that I opened just for the sake of the money doing something other than deteriorating itself, considering the fact that this is the modern day and age, the beautiful times where if you put money in a sock, then at a certain point in decades or even less, you're gonna get less money out of that. Ooh, modern magic. How does that work? Well, I wouldn't fucking know. I'm in humanities. That being said, I needed some advice on how to make it so that I close the fund, because apparently it's not really doing anything anymore. And through that, I managed to move the conversation. We managed to move the conversation with the guy that was taking care of aiding and funds in that bank to things like, well, if there's an apocalypse, then we need to invest so that well, no, we don't need to. If we not gold, apparently that's what he suggested to me. But out of other things, everything would be better if there were children, but there's no children. I feel like we might have had a suggestion there that we didn't explore yet. Should we get on to the making children part? He did mention he's single. That's not something you do in a professional setting, is it? We laughed it off. It was nice. And then I thought, yeah, I could have flirted a bit more, but that would have not been in accordance to what I want to do nowadays, as in completely cut off that area of life. So I told myself, well, whatever that was, we had our fun. That's good. Until today, we're at 3-ish. Luckily not in the night, but in the midday, I got a text message from the fucking guy, which is completely unexpected because it was supposed to be a professional setting. So from his professional work number, he texted me onto my professional personal number. Hey, if you need any more help on the funds thing, I'm happy to help. Safe to say that at that moment, I did my little happy dance and I told myself that I still got it. But still, I feel way better. As I started saying, just implementing this part where I completely cut off anything that what I would assume would or should be my heart move, because there's nothing there. This is a void, there's nothing there. Mm, so that make that move, it's completely gone. So that being said, it's freeing, that's for sure. Uh, I'm not aspiring to be seen as a potential partner slash mate. How pleasant. I can now work on having a personality. And that being said, this is what finds me here, right? Because what the fuck is this mess? This mess is some of my stuff. Now, I've moved to my parents' apartment. It's a working apartment. About when I had to move outside of the country, now I came back, and with the situation that I'm in, it doesn't really make sense to unpack everything because I'm not intending on staying here. Uh, but at the same time, that means that a lot of things that make my space mine, feel mine, is still in bags, which is really annoying. I did a little bit of work here and there to make it a bit more pleasant for myself today. Just following up on this internal feeling. That's like a general thing that I'm trying to do nowadays, which is following up on internal feelings and feeling them. It's nice, actually. I feel like with closing off that relationship sphere, I can hear my feelings better, which is great. I was worried that wouldn't be the case. There's other aspects in which I could sense that sparking up, and I'm excited to share. But let's go back to this. So, as I was talking about my space, side note, it makes me really happy whenever I can follow up on all of the side jumps of topics, side steps of topics that I do as I monologue, because it makes me feel like the drugs didn't fry my brain fully. It's really nice to hear that from myself, and to just know that I'm still connecting the fucking dots and I'm not getting tangled up in them. Great to know. Space. Fuck yeah, I still remember things. Space that I've been taking care of. I've added some decorations, some things that I've noticed that are obstacles in my daily life, such as clothes that I leave on the floor. Just, physical obstacles. Uh just because, yes, I can just leave them as a mess, but I don't like it. And there's something that just being on a day-to-day basis in this space, even if it's temporary, uh and having it be taken care of, does wonders for me. Fuck yeah. I mean, for instance, I cleaned the bathroom today. I did a lot of bathroom cleaning today. I've been scrubbing that. I don't know if the slight nasal congestion that I have going on is from breathing in potentially dangerous amounts of ammonia that were in the detergents, but or if it's just like a cold, but I don't know. Let it be known, it's not something that I'm brushing off easily. I have sinus problems. They are reoccurring, and whenever they happen, I panic like a fucking animal being hunted for sport. Like, this isn't gonna be an easy thing if anything happens, but also, I know that psychosomatically, if I convince myself that something's wrong, boy, is it gonna be wrong soon. So I need to calm down and focus on something a little bit more important. So far, that's been the case. Going back, I've taken care of this space because it makes me feel better, and it is something that I feel like is generally important, considering that, this is an interesting thread to pull on, because one of the biggest heartaches regarding the idea of me being a psychopath and becoming aware of it, whereas normally this just wouldn't bother me. Being problematic wouldn't bother me. Being toxic wouldn't bother me. Why did this awareness come? Why did it bother my existence so, when I could have just lived my life hurting people and not giving a fuck about it? Well, that aside, there's a connection that I'm making between the idea of I've already like done my best to make my reality digestible for myself, despite the fact that, like the plant that I have in another room, there's something rotting and I can smell the rot. I can distract myself pretty well. And so what if I die? You know? And with this approach, there's this like parallel idea of me not acknowledging discomfort in a space that I know is temporary, just because I know it's temporary. Perfect example of this kind of mindset that I used to have. Luckily, this is in the past, but we'll get there. So, I used to live alone in an apartment. I rented it out when I had good bar money. Bar money. There you go. From a bar. I was working behind a bar. I was bartending. This I was avoiding at all costs because I really didn't like to see my face jump all the way like this. So it was I avoided the bartending as much as I could, and I just stuck with the flirting. Well, it made me better money anyway, and I like pouring shots, and I actually enjoy the job, to be honest. And I've been thinking about how it would be absolutely fucking wonderful if I could just do it once a month, and if I were very rich and very famous, and I could just do drop-ins into random bars and then just play around with it for the sake of it, even for free, just to get some movement for the bar if I feel like it deserves that as well. But that's charity work for the future. And as for what I've been talking about, so when I had that good bar money, I had an apartment of my own, and it was a very small apartment. It was 26 square meters, but it was enough for me. The only problem is that it was like floor level, ground base, the mic, the treble, ground, base level, base. And so it had very little sunlight, but a good thing is that it was my space. I was doing my best in order to make it feel more mine, but I was very shy about it because it felt like this is not exactly it, and I don't know exactly when I'll move out or when I won't, so I'm not risking it. I'm not risking settling in a place where I know I will have to leave. But let's extrapolate that into the rest of reality, and that makes it that I'm not willing to settle into a life if I'm just a little bit uncertain about it, which leaves me with the knowledge that this life is temporary and I'm not willing to put in the work to make myself feel okay on a daily basis. About those little things, you know? Like the fact that I made sure that I have decorations today. And I got bouquets of flowers the other day. Doesn't happen often. Apparently, they were friendly ones. I choose to believe it just because relationships are gone out of my life for now. And so I dried them and I put them up on my wall, and it looked really nice. So, with that being said, back in that apartment, at a certain point, I decided that I could use a chandelier because it was a really high ceiling, so it would be nice. I had a chandelier. I was trying to think of like how to introduce that part of the story. Because the way that I got the chandelier was also a story of its own. It was torment. I think, yeah, it's a little too early to get into that, but it was a very self destructive context, and I got a chandelier out of it. Whatever. Point being, I bought a chandelier on my arms from a different city, just to put it down on the floor, ask my mother how I should do the electrical things, and I got everything prepared. I had all the cables ready to be plugged in. It would just be a quick job of getting a ladder and putting it up there. And guess what? I lived in that apartment for 8 months. That chandelier has been on the floor, had been on the floor for at least 4 months. And I never put it up. It was just on the floor. That's how scared of commitment I was. Well, commitment. Losing time, wasting energy, wasting, stuff like that. Nowadays, I don't really do that. The different approach has been introduced to me by that one girl. I don't know at this, the one that made me gay, and now I'm no longer gay because I am asexual. This is what we're doing. This is what we're on now. That's what she introduced me to. So is it worth it in the long run? No, you cannot know. But if it feels right in the moment, then maybe you should follow up on that. That's why I don't leave chandeliers on the floor nowadays. And if I have a mess, I clean it up, despite the fact that I don't identify with the space fully, because I'm not going to torture myself. Because I'm a biopsycho soul-filled animal, yes, and sure, my soul can overcome the how fucking awful this environment is, but my physical body and my mind would appreciate if the first thing I faced when opening my eyes in the morning were piles of clothes and random boxes. So I can do that for myself, and that's what I do nowadays. And yeah, I've been blabbering for 17 minutes already, and I haven't gotten to this part. Point being, I got to the point where I am not putting myself in the risky situations of aspiring to be perceived as attractive by somebody, and therefore I don't aspire to stretch myself in a way like a balloon animal in order to make myself and shapeshift into what I believe they could want. I don't do that. That gives me a lot of space to explore who I actually am for myself. Really nice. How the fuck do I do that though? Because for the longest time, whenever I tried to open those doors that go into my viewings and ask what is happening there, I would just hear echo, and after 5 seconds, I would get frustrated, shut that bitch back up, and go about my business. Like I never even cared. Now I'm not doing that. As I'm saying, it's getting kind of easier to get in touch with myself. Surprisingly fast, actually. Upsettingly enough, I can tell that I am way more aggressive than I thought I was. I am actually I'm definitely far from dainty. I am quite brutal to everyone and myself. I'm not that impulsive, but I can tell that whenever I don't have this this idea that I am aspiring to a socially acceptable idea of being feminine, or like the most common, because the socially acceptable is a broad spectrum, but the most common one is the flowy, dainty, pretty, light, whatever, that kind of narrative. Whereas now that I don't exactly focus on that, I can tell that I like myself cutthroat. I'm not going to do that again, though. I've done that a few times, and I surprisingly don't have the scars from it, but That's another idea that I have, but we'll get there if I manage to fucking remember. But explorations of the self, somehow, some way, somehow, horizons of being, they weren't supposed to be about me, because I'm inherently scared of starting sentences with I, because I know how often I do it. Maybe it's just the structure of the English language, but I'm really scared of somebody pointing a finger at me and saying she's narcissistic. Why? Maybe because it's partially true. And I don't want to be found out. So horizons of being weren't supposed to be about me. They were just supposed to be the explorations, the peregrinations, as I once said, of what it is to be. Of course, through the perspective of my skin and my neurons and the surface of my brain, wrinkly as it may be, the wrinklier the better. But now, with what currently is happening in my life, it's only accurate for it to be personalized. So if you want to join in on the journey of a psychopath trying to get out of that shithole of being that, just because they can somehow tell that that's not a good thing for themselves and others, nobody knows why still, then this is how it's gonna start. It's starting here, because I am not tabula rasa, so I'm not a blank page. I am a person that's been studying correctional pedagogy for 3 years now. Matter of fact, 4. Matter of fact, probably will do that for more, but I'm facing a lot of very annoying obstacles in that department. That goes to the side. I've been studying still, and I know my shit, actually, which means that I know how to study a person. I know how to study a case. And one of the ways to do that is observation, yes, but I cannot do that. Well, actually, I will do that probably once I introduce psychedelics, and then I will happily exit myself and watch myself and cry about it. But another way to do that within typical methodologies, actually, is to study the materials of life. I'm not sure if I translated that from my mother tongue well. But point is that if you are assigned a case and you have no access to them as a person, to speak with them or to their surroundings, because maybe it's a case from, I don't know, 100 years ago, then what you can go through is whatever they have made throughout their life. And then just assume based off of that. So that's what my plan here is. I figured that if I really want to narrow down on what and who I am, then as much as I'm going to put aside the entire identity crisis that I've had just a few months ago, and that moment when I decided that previous me is dead entirely, and just, well, I'm going to reawaken her because I feel like that she's actually something to integrate maybe still. And I have a lot. This is just a bit of all of that. And I figured I wouldn't go through it because it would be interesting to see what I'm gonna find here. So for instance, because I'm trying to find things that are mine. One of those things that I was looking through was within myself. Was how do I want to present myself? I can already tell that I'm not going to go through this in this episode of Horizons of Being. I was looking at from like an imaginary external point of view, how would I want to present myself? I change my hair really often. Right now it's like this because I wanted to do Atomic Blonde, just because I have a wig that looks like that, and I always felt like that wig fits me really well. In reality, this hair is a big challenge to look good and feel good in it. It's definitely not this kind of hairstyle that would be my baseline. I'm still happy that I explored it. But yeah, it's only partially that. So I know that if I were to clock that exact thing that I would like to happen on my head throughout my life, then this is not exactly it. I feel like my previous haircut was a little closer to that because it had this kind of I don't have to do anything about it and it kind of still looks good energy, which is great and I miss it. But as for other things, I've always been very into body modifications. I used to dream of having my entire body tattooed. I have a lot of piercings. I enjoy it. So I figured, why wouldn't I go into that? It feels very in the narrative of personalizing your own quote unquote avatar. And I like it. So I took the time to sit myself down and think, what exactly would I put onto myself? Because it's a very risky sphere of not tattooing something because I want to be seen in a certain way, but just because I want it. For instance, if I were to go through my tattoo inspiration board on Pinterest, then I can I can pinpoint exactly the time when I was working behind the bar and the only thing that I cared for was being sexualized enough to feel like I am seen. So there's a lot of like, kind of tattoos. I'm not gonna say anything specific because I don't even feel like we're giving it that space. But what would be truly mine? And there's a few obstacles in that. For instance, the fact that I already do modeling and I am going into acting. So I'm not really sure if my body is fully mine. Uh, then again, of course, there's stars that have tattoos, but I'm not really on that level yet. So the thought process, and this isn't the first time I've had this thought process, so it usually would go somewhere along these lines. Well, I would like some tattoos, but they're gonna be a little too visible. Okay, well then I could get them tattooed in non-black. Okay, but what kind of color would I like? I like the blue porcelain thing, but then again, it doesn't really connect with anything that is important to me. It's not like I connect with any culture that does the blue porcelain thing. Well, then maybe I could do white tattoos. And this is where things get interesting. But those are so expensive. Why wouldn't I just get a really sharp object? The effect's pretty much the same. And then knowing that it takes a long time to scarify yourself, because been there, done that, got a scarification from it. I never went about doing it. I mean, the only successful scarification I have is the one that I have here. I might as well let it show. I'm not sure if you can see it. You can see my fucking sick abs, that's for sure. Damn, that's good lighting for those. There's a sun there. But I've done way more. Like I said, I've cut my throat. In many ways, but one of them was, for instance, an inverted A, an upside down A, but it's faded because I didn't redo it. This one I've redone so many times that I am not surprised that it looks the way it looks, which is the way it's supposed to look. I've done here I've done tiny forget-me-nots because they're my favorite flower. And you can still see like one or two maybe, but considering the amount of work that I put into them, time and meticulousness, they're forget-me-nots, they're small flowers. And there was a whole bunch. I really liked how they looked in the end, but they're gone. So that scares me away from putting, again, the time in order to do it, just for them to be lost into nothingness. Another thing that I've done, and I'm actually genuinely surprised that I still have the scar from it, other than the typical barcodes that I have around my body, uh, is a line that I made from my thumb here all the way up here. This was a tricky moment, and it went up here. And there are spots where you can still see it, especially here, where the skin is a little less soft. The softer it is, the harder it is to make it quick. And maybe I shouldn't be too descriptive about this, just in case it gets taken down for giving too much inspiration. But point being that I like this genuinely. And so, to follow up on that, I thought about possible, what's the word? Well, things that I could have on my body and what's symbolic for me. Now, that was a fucking journey, because turns out it's really hard for me to pinpoint exactly what would be mine enough to put on my body. But I managed to track it down. And I have an idea. So, I want to get a scarification. I want to get a scarification. And the scarification would be done by a professional artist in this case. Mostly because I'm really not about the idea of having it crooked. And because it's very likely for it to be crooked, because it would be in a place where it's hard to reach and see for me. So better to have a professional do it, even though it's gonna cost me some. It's worth it. This is me modifying my body in a way that makes it feel like mine. I like the idea, no? So I'm not gonna share exactly what. I'm gonna share once I have it done, so that I'm still motivated, and so that there's no evil eye out to get me. But I've done my research, and it's just a matter of doing it in a way that makes it vale la pena, makes it worth the price. Because if I just get a full day with the artist, then I pay a smaller price money wise. But if I get a lot done in a day, then I'm wondering how my body's gonna react to that. But here's the thing. I'm sure there's people who would be terrified at the very thought of having so many open wounds on their body at the same time. I am luckily not fucking one of them. I am not fucking any of them. Actually, I'm not fucking anybody, because that's the point. I am not one of them. That aside, continuing from that to what's happening here, that was a really big fucking intro, huh? One of the things that I was thinking about is a design that I was thinking of 4 years ago, for my back. And that's one of the very few ideas that I'm dead certain I want to have on me, because they refer to my dog. And she was a Doberman, and losing her was easily, the worst pain of my fucking life, especially since she died in my arms, and it was an accident, and I couldn't do anything about it. And it took me a long time. The grieving process took me about 2 years, or definitely over a year, and it was bad. I was like self-flagellating with memories, and my subconscious was torturing me with nightmares, and I was torturing myself, and I was awake about it. So point is a it was bad. I've managed to close that chapter, even though it took a while, and still, I would be honored to have her on my body. Which, considering the fact that the idea has been there, it just kind of died down for a little bit just because I was doing other things, but having the opportunity to come back to it now with this sense of it's been years and I'm still absolutely down to do it, well, that just gives me the confirmation I need about it being a good idea and not just something that I'll regret in a month. The sun is actually for her as well. That one I did days after she died, and probably that's why I managed to do it beautifully, skipping over this entire narrative of what will people think. Cause the pain was so raw that it didn't fucking matter. So, and I've made some beautiful art out of it actually. I took a picture of when it was bleeding and then I painted it as well. I don't have the painting anywhere near here because I'm in bags. Everything I care about is in bags. But finishing up the intro part, the picture of what I want to have tattooed slash scarred into me is somewhere around here in these papers, which is why I got to them, which is why this whole thing is open now. Don't worry, this isn't gonna be a case of me going, for instance, through all of these notebooks, which are all filled with my writing, because I've been writing to reflect for a long fucking time. Specifically, the first one is from 2001. The rule is I don't read them out so that I don't have the feeling of whenever I write nowadays, so that I don't have to go against the feeling of what if somebody wants to read it and then judges me because I'm not funny or something like that. So the base rule is that I don't read them out, so I'm not going to be reading those out. I think it's just interesting that we went from, just as an example, I just want to give it from, oh, perfect. I just got a moment of, yep, I got exactly the one after my dog died. This is how much I was writing back then. Well, maybe it was just a bad day that day. But that's what it looked like. And then we moved into this structure. When I started doing morning pages from Julia Cameron. And I like how this is the first notebook that I started doing it in. So you can see me starting to get a feeling of it. And then bam, I started valuing it so much that I started, hello, thank you, focus. I started squeezing in as much as I fucking could. Oh, there's more. There's the wish list of what I would like. This one I can read out loud. I would like to, we're talking, this is this is before I knew that I was gonna leave Poland. So this is December 2024. Wish list. I would like to go somewhere, see the world. Check. I would like to go get singing lessons. It's in the back of my mind, but I've been smoking a lot more and my voice is getting only raspier. Fuck. I would like to go to acting classes. I'm working on that, actually, babes. I'm working on it. I would like to tell stories with full engagement. Boy, oh boy. Okay, yeah, I'm getting there, actually. Like, I would like to have a dog. This is okay. This is a conversation that happens in my head all the time. The topic is never closed. At this point, I know that, and for at least a year, I'm in this kind of approach of I'm gonna finish up soon. Don't worry. This kind of approach of, if I find a stray dog, boom, that's how I know it's mine, and it was meant to be. But for now, I cannot just go to a pet shelter and get myself a dog, because that would be, considering how I live with the pace of my life and with the fact that I have no space of my own and that I'm always out doing something, then I feel like it would be irresponsible. I would like to let myself be known. Working on that right here in this space. I'm working on it, because in order to let myself be known, I need to know what I'm letting to be known. You know what I mean? I would like to dance. Am I dancing? I'm definitely dancing with a lot more freedom. But I think what I meant is more of an irregular manner. And like officially. So, haven't been doing that. But I'm always down to move. I'm definitely not shy about it. I would like to fart in somebody's presence. Have I? No, I was close, but I never did. Still on the to-do list. I would like to have a plan, ambitions. I do now. I know what I want to do. I want to create my reality out of art and social work in general, and in more specific terms than I am. I definitely want to do performance. I want to create a performance of my own that I could do festivals with, or just street performances out of around. And I want that to be a part of my reality. I want to travel with it as well, yes. And I definitely want to also go into facilitating Erasmus experiences and have them happen to me as well, of course. But facilitate, yes, because I want to change the world, yes, but I want to give people the opportunity to show themselves that they are more than they thought they were. That's my meaning in life. And so, and so there's that. I think since I've been yapping for 45 minutes almost, this feels like a good note to end on, because this is exactly what I've been talking about. Which is the last on the to-do list was I want to make my apartment my way. Well, I kind of did it today. Yeah. There's a lot of things I'd be interested to read into, to check up on it. I didn't think of that. I forgot it. I genuinely forgot about it. I remember that on this, like, I thought this entire notebook is just the morning pages. But no, there's the notes from the actual assignments that that I had here. I never finished The Artist's Way, but yeah. So these are all of those. And these are the papers, and I will be going through them at a different point, I suppose, considering that that there's still so much to be done. I have never posted these on my Instagram. I have posted these. Wait, I have posted the Marilyn Monroe's. Oh, you can see my ass. I'm sorry. Enjoy it. But I've never posted those. I really like those cut up pieces. Bam, bam, bam. having these photos makes it so much easier for me to have acne nowadays, because I know there's documented pictures of me being attractive, so I don't have to do that on a daily basis. If I'm not getting paid, fuck you. You're not getting this. Nah, nah, bruh. Real fur, by the way. Styling done by me, because I'm like that. Yeah, there's a lot more of those. Yep. So I don't know. Maybe I'll look in, because I know for a fact it's in here. It's in this box of papers, because I never throw things out knowing that something might be important one day. But I don't want to do it now. Okay, I'm just gonna... Oh, there's so many stories here. Fuck. So many interesting stories that I can... Okay, I'm gonna finish up. But I want to finish up on a good note, just because you've been here with me, whoever you are. You've been here with me for 40, almost 7 minutes. So for that, I'm going to show you something that I haven't seen for almost a year, which is a collage that I made about myself a year ago almost, during my first ever Erasmus project when I was in good Hungary. And this is what she looks like. You can see very little. Something's falling off. Oh my god. I'm just gonna pick it up, I guess. Oh. Yeah. I might put it up on my wall. This one says Harmonia. This one says Esotericus. A test. Player. Yeah. Something here said, please come. Icon, and it has Jesus in the O. Oh, and this is one of my favorite. This is also very little. Let's end on this one, actually. This is very relatable. Because this is one of the only Hungarian phrases I know, as in phrases in Hungarian that I know. And it's jól működik. That's why I know it, is because the project was about attention and commitment therapy, which I also want to give a part of my body to in a tattoo, because it was an extremely important project to me in so many ways. And I'm definitely not talking just about learning, non-formal education. So jól működik means, is it workable? That's a question you ask yourself in attention and commitment narratives. In terms of, you're not asking if this is good or is this bad. You're asking if this is workable for you. And you change it if it's not. If it's workable, then why would you? And I'm gonna give you space to understand why it is the way it is on this collage for me. But this is it. So with that being said, day, whichever, I don't count anymore, of my anti-relationship crusade. I keep going. Thank you for joining in today. I'm just starting out, but I have time. It's okay. I have time. On to the future horizons of being, and finding more me within me. Because there's proof she's out there. It's like finding shit of a dinosaur. Fucking fossilized. This is it. She's out there. I can smell it despite my sinus problems. And I will find her. And I will find out who and how she is in the next episode. Goodbye.